What's up, everybody? Welcome to the State of Wild, episode 95, a regular YouTube video web series podcast thingy. My name is Meowth, and as usual, I'm joined by my two good friends and co-hosts, Roffle and Corb. How are you guys doing tonight?
You know what? I'm doing all right. It's been a busy week. We got a bit of a surprise, and well, I mean, spoiler, I got notified a little bit ahead of time because I was involved in an event, but like the mini set just dropped out of nowhere. Like end of the week happened, and it's just like here's some cards that are coming to next week. So that was a little bit surprising, especially with the holiday in the United States. But new cards good.
Yeah, the date was speculated kind of like a couple of weeks out, just due to I think people figured out when like a mercenaries event was ending. But it's still like very early, right? Like the first, it's we're well ahead of the 2 month sort of schedule by a couple of weeks. So yeah, looking forward to get digging into everything. I mean, it'll be good.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to hop into the mini set. Before we do, though, I feel like we have to give a little bit of congrats here to Roffle. He's made it. He's a big time Hearthstone influencer now. Leading some of the big reveal season stuff, which is pretty exciting. Congrats, dude.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and fellow member of the Wild community, Goku, was also involved in the stream that the Play Hearthstone team put together, which incorporated a lot of different players' perspective from different regions, different backgrounds, different like play styles. It was a lot of fun getting to a chance to talk about some of the new cards for Paladin, Priest, and Rogue in particular, and even got a Rogue expert in Jay Alex, as well as a very well-rounded player in Katrina. So it was a lot of fun.
We will talk about all the cards today, and hopefully you're okay going through them all a second time with us lowly non-class experts over here. But
I see what I was gonna do is I was just gonna play the portion of the VOD for Paladin, Priest, and Rogue, and that way you can hear my perspective that way.
Save some brain power.
Yeah. Thanks again to the Hearthstone team for putting that on and allowing me to participate.
All right, so let's hop into the actual mini set cards. Let's not delay any further. So we got 35 new cards. Just like most of the previous mini sets here, they are completely purchasable by gold. I believe it is 1,500 gold, or
I think it's 2,000 gold.
Oh, they upped it a little bit, I think, or was I always wrong?
Mistaken.
Regardless, you can buy it with gold. It's a relatively like similar amount to what we've seen in the past. It might be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but we also have the golden option to purchase the mini set if you're like that. I believe it is not purchasable with gold. I'm spreading all the misinformation, but I think it's just cash for this golden mini set.
Yeah. If it resembles what it's been in the past, I believe it's 2,000 gold. I've never bought it with real money, so I don't know what the cost is. But I do know that the golden versions can only be purchased with real money. If last time is any indicator.
Yeah.
So
for those of you that still have some money left over from the Heroic Brawlseum, you'll have money for this mini set, and you won't have to spend real cash. But let's hop right into it. A lot of really unique and exciting cards to talk about, and potentially influence the WoW meta. We'll talk about what we think, and we'll start in class order here, starting with Demon Hunter. So the first one, Topple the Idol. So this is a 5-mana spell that says Dredge. Reveal the card, deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. So basically a board wipe for Demon Hunter here. I think Chaos Nova was kind of the standard that they gave us for kind of this cost in Demon Hunter in the past. I don't even know if Chaos Nova is still in standard or not. I don't believe so. Who knows? But I mean, Top of the Idol, do you think like in combination with stuff like Inhalation Aura and Chaos Nova, like a slower Demon Hunter might like this in Wild?
I think the only deck that might consider this would be like a big Demon Hunter, just because you want to hit something more than 4, right? Your typical control deck is probably going to be running more early game tools, so it can't consistently hit something greater than a 4. Dredge is just kind of useful in its own right, though, so maybe with that in mind. The problem I could potentially see this is like if you're in a position where you're not yet ready for that big costed card, whatever it may be, that you're basically giving yourself a bad draw. And the major issue is that like Demon Hunter doesn't want to be a control class because of its hero power and like the cards that support that hero power.
Yeah, I don't really love this one. I think particularly in Wild, right? We want to be pushing the curve lower no matter what. Like even if we are playing something like Fel DH, we already have like such a really nice suite of removal, I think, and options in Demon Hunter. And I think the fact that Chaos Nova's been this week, which is a little bit surprising, right? Because Chaos Nova kind of looked impressive on release, especially compared to like Flame Strike and things like that. But it just never really made an impact. And as good as Dredge is, like Roffle said, there can be some definite awkwardness. Reno Demon Hunter? Like, does it get in there? Like, I probably don't think so, but
I think Reno Demon Hunter, very much like Reno Hunter, just kind of wants to be like low curve aggression with some like, I don't know, burst potential off of Zephrys.
Yeah. It's also important to note, like, this is not a Fel spell itself, right? So you don't get all that synergy in Demon Hunter. So yeah, I mean, not super excited about this one. I think it's a consensus from the three of us. So let's talk about Fossil Fanatic. This is a 2-mana 2/2. After your hero attacks, draw a Fel spell. Oh, what I would give for multi-strike to still be 1 mana. I mean, this card, like, it's card draw on a 2-drop, right? Like, it seems like it has a lot of potential. What are you guys thinking?
I'm going to say it before somebody in the YouTube comments says it. So beat you to it. Yeah, this is perfect for even Demon Hunter, even Fel Demon Hunter, now that multi-strike is 2 mana. So I don't know what you're talking about, famous Wild Hearthstone streamer, get me out. Memes aside, I think that like it's just kind of good, right? Like as a enabler for the Fel deck, I don't know if that deck's necessarily strong enough in Wild. There's the Demony Boy that does a similar thing, but this has the potential for, multiple draws, and it's, I don't know, like it's very easy to attack in Demon Hunter because of the 1 mana hero power. So I think it's a fine card, probably just not like in a good deck.
yeah, I'm kind of comparing it to the what's called Vanguard in my head. The 2/2 that summons tokens. I don't know. If Drekthal was real, then maybe we could be talking about it. But I'm honestly just not too into Demon Hunter cards right now since the Drekthal nerf, which is a little bit short-sighted probably, and maybe it'll blow up in my face. But I don't know. Like the effect isn't that amazing to me, just because it is so low tempo. In a class that and an archetype that kind of needs to be very aggressive and like very tempo oriented. So it's pretty decent refill. Like Meowth said, if multi-strike costs 1, I'd be a lot more excited. You could probably do some pretty nasty things where you could like tutor the multi-strike every time, or like if it was the only Fel, and that would get you another multi-strike, and that would get you like stuff like that. But yeah, not too enthused about this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing a little bit of Martian's Reno Demon Hunter, just having a little bit of fun, and it kind of feels like it would slot perfectly in that style of deck where you have a lot of like cheap, all the stuff that you ran in like standard aggro Demon Hunter, right? Like the 2 mana gain to attack draw cards, multi-strike, stuff like that, and this just seems like a solid card to help draw you more stuff in the early game, as well as potentially thin your deck in the late game. I think we're eventually getting to the point where like a wild Fel Demon Hunter will be a thing. I know we've been talking about this for a little bit, but like Jace with mana burns will eventually be like a pretty strong thing in the format. I think. I think we're just missing like a Fel spell that like generates minions. I think, or something like that.
Honestly, I think it's pretty close. Like with multi-strike in particular, like Jace doesn't care that multi-strike was nerfed. He still gives you the extra value off of that. It's not bad. I don't know if this is the card that's going to push it further. Like I think it like you said, it does kind of rely a little bit more on the quality of Fel spells that get released in the future. But they're pushing this as an archetype, clearly. Or they're pushing Fel spells in Demon Hunter. So that gives hope for the future, I think.
Yeah. I think it's just gonna be one of those really, really solid support pieces where like right now it's probably not gonna make waves, but in the future it'll be like, yeah, of course you include 2 of these in every Fel Demon Hunter deck. And then speaking of Fel, let's talk about our last Demon Hunter card here, Herald of Chaos. This is a 3 mana 3/4 Naga with lifesteal. So immediately just Spider Tank with lifesteal. Battle Cry. If you've cast a Fel spell while holding this, gain Rush. And so basically 3 mana 3/4 Rush lifesteal. if you have cast a fel spell. So I know when multi-strike was still a thing back in the day, like we had Metamorphin, Odd Demon Hunter with some pretty high quality fel spells. We liking this in that deck?
Potentially. I was thinking this is the kind of card that I think a Reno Demon Hunter would love.
Yeah, that too.
Because you don't necessarily, like, you play it on curve and it's just fine, which, good thing. You're running probably just a few fel spells naturally, and then like it doesn't really require that much effort to get activated because it's while you're holding this. So I think this is just maybe potentially even your Naga in a Reno, like, menagerie type Reno Demon Hunter, or you could just go full Naga in a Reno Demon Hunter and probably do all right with that as well. So just seems like a high quality card. Looking for a home right now.
All right, so a couple of cards here for your Reno Demon Hunters and maybe Fel Demon Hunters in the future. So let's move on to Druid here. Let's start with a really, really cute elemental. Let's talk about Spirit of the Tides. 2 mana, 2/2 elemental. If you have any unspent mana at the end of your turn, gain +1/+2. It's the untapped potential Druid support that we've been waiting forever for. So basically, if you play this on 3, it becomes a 3 mana, 3/4 elemental. Yet another spider tank. Ooh. I mean, we
this
like
is the mini set of spider tanks, by the way.
Yeah,
like they're just everywhere.
There's a couple more, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, at least one more. But I don't know. Do we think this ever sees play anywhere?
No. In a format like Wild, if you're not spending mana, you're not winning games of Hearthstone. Is really what it comes down to. Like, you don't have time to like try to get value off of this over the course of multiple turns, because it does activate over multiple turns, which I think people, overlook. Yeah, I initially did when I first saw it, but that doesn't matter in a format as fast as Wild. And the downs, like, you're paying every turn, you're playing a card that gives your minion +1/+2 in Druid, like, but at the end of turn, that's not, like, when you're buffing a minion, you want to buff it on the turn that it can attack while it can attack, right? And that's not happening with this card. So it's just like you're just equalizing it, or you're just fixing the curve to your deck. It's
hear me out. We play untapped potential Druid. We go Oakheart into Jakari Enchanter into Spirit of the Tides. And then this triggers twice, and then it becomes a 4/6 math.
Are we talking? Wait, we're talking about Master Oakheart here?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's definitely more stronger than Dragon Hatcher, whatever it's called.
I thought you were talking about Oaken Summons.
I thought you were too, and I'm just like,
I was like, damn, that's insane.
I thought
not good. Like, not good.
Right.
I mean, like, a deck like this could get there. It's just like you would need so much payoff for like unspent mana. You'd need like unspent mana payoffs in hand, right? Like every turn when this is in hand, like, it gets bigger. Things like that, like where multiple cards are all like significantly paying off, and that's like a super huge payoff. But just by itself, just bad, just awful.
I mean, there already are like Gear Grubber is a card that, like,
I'm thinking like 20 of them. Like, I want the whole deck to be,
I know.
Just like...
and then at that point, you need so many that at that point you don't even have any choose one effects to like get the payoff from the hero power. So it's just like, it's absolutely not worth. Like, spending mana is how you win games in Wild Hearthstone. You need to spend mana every turn, as much of it as you can. That's why Druid is so strong all the time.
I thought the powerful thing was not spending any mana to do the dumb things, but
okay, yeah, it's still okay. It's still essentially spending mana. That's how you quantify how good of a turn it is how much mana they would have had to spend, right?
Yeah, we got him, guys. We got him. All right, next Druid spell. Let's talk about Moonbeam. I think this is a card a lot of people are pretty excited for in Wild. First one, I think that pretty clearly has a home in Wild. So Moonbeam is a 1 mana arcane spell that says deal 1 damage to an enemy twice. Okay, so this is like Living Roots, but it does 2 instances of 1 damage. And so obviously the synergy here is with OG Malagos, right? OG Malagos Druid, means that each one of these says deal 6 damage to an enemy twice. So that's 1 mana, deal 12. There has been, I know we haven't really talked too much about like Dragon Druid as just being a pretty solid deck in the meta right now. How easy do you think it is to just like shove a Malygos in there with a couple swipes and some Moonbeams?
And
I like
it. Yeah, sounds better to me than Living Roots or like some of the other spells that you are running in that, right? Because like this is just okay as removal on its own, and it's certainly better than Moonfire. Like it's just fine. And you honestly, in that type of deck, because you have some decent early game beaters, if you're trying to get like Kazakhstan online, you don't even need to copy the Malygos. Just play Malygos plus a couple of these, and it's GG. And you can do that because Guff exists. So like you don't have to do anything goofy with like alignment or Aviana Kun or like I don't know, Faceless. Like you don't have to run a lot of bad cards. This allows you not to have to run a lot of bad cards, essentially.
Yeah, I really like this. Obviously, just for the Mali Druid, I really like the concept of Mali Druid in general in Druid, just because it gives like significant lethality, which we don't really have right now. And this is such a great payoff, right? Like, it means that you don't have to shove in like multiple copies of like payoff cards that work with just the Mali, because this is already just 24 damage that we're looking at if we have like 2 copies. So I really, really like it. Looking forward to Dragon Druid kind of probably transitioning to out of the Kazakhstan stuff, and it'll just probably be a Malygos deck. I mean, maybe you play both to like have some sort of rat protection and things like that. But I can just see it kind of just becoming just a Mali deck in general.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing Mali Dragon Druid back when like there was OG Kazakhstan, and like it was worse because you weren't like Turbo Kazakhstan, but like there were a lot of games where you just like win because you go Mali swipe, and they don't expect it out of it like anywhere. Because especially since you have Onyxia and stuff like that, you're dealing a lot of chip damage anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to try out some Mali Druid. Who knows if it's gonna be better or worse than the other stuff, but I mean it's back, right? Like this is a really powerful card for that archetype, and so a lot of people are excited about Moonbeam here. And then last but not least, we have Herald of Nature, 3 mana 3/3 Naga, Battlecry. If you've cast a nature spell while holding this, give your other minions +1/+2. So I didn't really have time to take a look at how many nature spells we're looking at in stuff like Aggro Druid. I know Token Druid runs a lot of these, but then you're running minions in your Fungal Fortunes deck. It's a pretty powerful effect, right? 3 mana 3/3, give your minions +1/+2. Do we think it has a home?
No, I think that I think what it does is still, again, just it's a powerful effect, too slow for the format.
I think there's some serious awkwardness in finding nature spells that you really want to be running in a very minion dense sort of aggro druid in general. 3/3 that requires another specific card is sort of asking a lot for an aggro druid deck that's all about just like vomiting everything and ASAP. So I don't know, maybe if like Gibberling and things like that was still around, then maybe because like you have a much higher spell density. But yeah, I don't really love it as it is.
Yeah. All right, so let's move into to Hunter here. Let's start with our 3 mana. I feel like every class got a 3 mana minion or spell. But Arcane, what's up?
A 3 mana Naga at that, it seems like.
Yeah, that's true. I'm scrolling now, looking. Yeah, actually. Lots of Nagas. Go figure. But let's talk about Ancient Kraken Bane. 3 mana 3/3 Naga, Battlecry. If you've cast 3 spells while holding this, deal 5 damage. So I'll ask the obvious question. Do we like this in some... I know Quest Hunter's not very good, but do we like this in something like Quest Hunter?
No. Because it is not a spell that deals damage to my opponent's face. Like, if this were a 3 mana spell instead, it would already likely do, like, if in that deck, it would do 5 damage already, right? Because something like, if it were a kill command, it does the 3 damage even if you don't have a beast on board, plus the hero power, plus some upside. right? Plus it progresses your quest. So like that's a lot of pluses. And Kill Command is just barely an okay card in that deck already. So a minion version of Kill Command, no.
Yeah, I mean, the card's kind of busted. I mean, like, I don't want to play it in Questline Hunter. Like, I agree with Roffle on that. Just because not spell equal bad. But I don't know. It's so absurd, right? Like,
It's
in
a lot of
comparison to
damage.
something like Cloud Prince being the main one too. Like, this is such a ridiculous amount of damage. Is there like a Naga aggro hunter that runs like Scav Ingenuity and Alley Cat is like a little beast package, and then it fills it out with Nagas? I don't know. It sounds like a standard deck to me, but like, I mean, this is a really absurd amount of damage and reach, which Hunter in general needs because it can't win on board that well. So it needs this kind of reach over the top.
Yeah.
No, I not long ago I played a Naga Reno hunter that was not bad. I think that there is something close there. And if you run, a higher density of spells in that deck, again, we just talked about like that type of deck wants to be aggressive with just like Dino Taper Brand as the top end. This is a card that deck wants if it has enough, if you can fit enough spells into it. Just because like 5 damage is a lot. I don't know. And maybe even a deck like Secret Hunter, where you're no longer running Direct Thar, could make some use out of this to close out games. Like 5 damage is a lot when you're playing free secrets with Cloaked Huntress or the Dunbaldor Bunker. Like that's damage.
Yeah, I think the Secret Hunter Shad is actually a really good one. Just because, like you said, no direct Thar anymore, so it doesn't matter. And like that is a deck that needs lethality. That is a deck that needs to go to the top. And with Bunker, like that's kind of like a built-in one synergy or an ability to get this online. Because in something like Face Hunter, it is going to be really hard. We were just talking, about like how like in Aggro Druid, right? How you just kind of vomit your hand and you don't have that many resources. You can't really afford to hold onto cards. It's the same issue with this in Hunter, where it's going to be super difficult to get this to pay off. But I mean, maybe Secret Hunter, maybe that's like a great spot for it.
Yep. I think there's also, I think it's from this latest set, right, where there's a 3-mana spell that says draw a Naga, draw a spell. And if this is the only Naga in your deck, that is a way to consistently find it. It is basically a 3-mana do nothing then, like when you're casting the spell in an aggressive deck, and maybe that's not what you want, but I think there is some synergy there. All I have to say is, I mean, Corb, you're the hunter guy. You brought back Beast Hunter, right? Back in the day.
Oh, I don't want to be called the hunter guy. Come on, that's just
Well,
like
Doin's not in
insulting.
the scene anymore. It's got to be somebody. just take it. All right, let's talk about our next hunter spell here. Let's talk about Shellshot, 3-mana nature spell. I think this is the first nature spell that I remember in Hunter. Regardless,
Dragon's Breath. It's the one. The corrosive breath. Sorry, it's the one.
is that actually a nature spell? It's poison.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anyways, second nature spell then for Hunter here. Pretty unique card here. 3 mana, deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion. Repeat this with 1 less damage. So I believe it will not go 3, 2, 1. I believe it'll just go 3 and then 2. If I'm understanding that correctly.
I have no idea. Help.
Yeah, I think it will because yeah.
I'm getting on Twitter. I'm gonna find out.
Because if it goes all the way from like 3, 2, 1, that's a pretty impressive spell just like on its own. And then if you give it spell damage, then it goes like deal 4, deal 3, deal 2, deal 1, and it scales really nicely with spell damage. My initial instinct is that it's only going to do like 3 and then 2, and which still scales nicely with spell damage, but not nearly as well as going all the way down. We'll wait for Corb to do his research real quick.
I'm trying. I went to Gallon's replies. There's nothing there. I don't know.
Like, how would it know?
Sharky? Surely
It doesn't.
Sharky.
Like, how would it know to stop? I guess is the question, right? Like, there's no text that says stop when it does no damage, right? So I think that Meowth is right that it's just like it just repeats it once.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if that let's go with that until Corb proves us otherwise, right? Let's say that it just does 3 and then 2 baseline, and then with spell damage it would do like 4 and then 3. It probably doesn't have a home anywhere, right? This doesn't really get to go face, so it feels not very like not flexible enough for something like Quest Hunter, and it feels like it wants to be in something like a Naga Hunter with that 2-mana 2/3 with spell damage that synergizes with this. How do you guys feeling about it?
No, we already kind of talked about how 3-mana spells are not really what Quest Hunter wants. And then on top of that, you get like because like you said, it doesn't go face. That's not just haha, you can't do damage. It's you cannot play this card in a lot of times. Think about how difficult it is at times to play like an Overwhelm. Like that's for against some decks. Like you can't just get stuck with this in addition to the Overwhelms and other things that are in your hand. You need to be progressing the quest line. And this doesn't do it, but I'm sure people will try it and then shortly thereafter move away from it. Just like tends to happen a lot with Questline Hunter. Unless you're playing odd Questline Hunter, in which case you're hurting for spells anyway, and this may be okay there. Same thing with the Kraken Bane, but even then, like, just
I mean, if you're
just
if you're still playing odd Quest Hunter at this point, like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing that, just play like odd Hunter with just take the quest out and like just shove stuff up at the opponent's face, like, which, you know, with a card as powerful as Ancient Kraken Bane, which we kind of just glossed over, like, worth maybe, I don't know, like that's again a lot of damage in a deck that wants to close out games quickly.
It does seem like it is deal 3, then deal 2, and then it stops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that change your opinion? Do you have anything else to add then, or is it just meh to you?
Oh, I wasn't listening in the slightest. I was researching. And
I mean,
that I mean scrolling through Reddit.
TLDR, not good enough. Yeah.
It was a meh for me either way, dog. Like,
All right. Last but not least here for Hunter then, let's talk about, familiar face and Puppbot from BGs. Let's talk about K9 Otron. Get it? K9? 2-mana 2/3 mech, Battlecry Dredge. If it's a 1-cost minion, summon it. So I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't seen a mech hunter in years. I don't even know how many 1-drops you run on that deck. But if you have like 8 to 10 1-drop mechs in Hunter, this card seems like pretty damn good.
I have played it recently. That deck is not good, but this card seems good. Like it turns out, in the year of our Lord 2022, a Metal Tooth Leaper is just not enough to win games of Hearthstone. Like you just get gassed out by every other deck, let alone every other mech deck in the format. So good quality card, and we're lucky that I think it's in Hunter instead of in other mechanical classes that could maybe find a better home for it. Like this is a good card, not going to revive the archetype by any means, just because the payoff isn't like Metal Tooth Leaper is not Mecha Shark.
Yeah, I looked at this and I thought, damn, that's a really nice Paladin card, and then I kind of moved on with my life.
Oh goodness! All right. So it kind of looks like if we can't make Kraken Bane work, Hunter is not too excited about this mini set. So let's move on to Mage here. So let's start with Submerge Space Rock. 2-mana 2/2 Elemental. Death Rattle. Add 2 arcane mage spells to your hand. At the end of your turn, discard them. So pretty weird card. Basically, Death Rattle, add 2 spells to your hand that you get to cast that turn only. I don't like Quest Mage doesn't want this, right? And I don't even think like Casino Mage wants this, because it like even more randomization about when you get your random spells doesn't seem that great to me. So yeah, this card just doesn't seem that great.
I don't even want this anywhere.
Yeah, maybe like Mana Cyclone, because it is like another payoff for Elemental Evocation. Like if we were going down that road, if we were still playing Mana Cyclone Quest Mage, then sure. But we don't actually pay mana for our spells now. We get mana, right? When we complete the quest, that's what we do. So yeah, not a great card in 2022.
All right. Let's talk about Polymorph Jellyfish, 3-mana arcane spell. Transform a minion into a 4/1 Jellyfish with spell damage +2. So another card in line with Polybore, I believe. Very similar card to that, except you get spell damage. Spell damage mage? I know there have been people that have I'm friends with Lion and Tulio. Okay, I know people experiment with stuff like spell damage mage. Um, is there a world that we want this in those kind of decks?
No. I mean, it's an odd cost card, so spell damage odd mage, but also then no, because like the fragility of the body is the issue here. What you're missing out on though is the clear play of you're queued up against a hunter, you polymorph Jellyfish, one of their minions, and bam, their Shellshot is almost playable now.
Oh my god.
200
good.
IQ.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to have another polymorph effect that you can get off like magic trick and stuff. Meowth. I know that you love that kind of stuff in Quest Mage, right?
Yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Anyways,
Yeah.
Lady Nasjar. So Mage gets another legendary here in the mini set. I feel like Mage gets so many of these.
A little bit of favoritism.
Yeah. Devs clearly showing their bias. Okay, but Lady Nasjar is a very unique card here. I don't know if we've seen anything similar to this before. But basically, she is a 5-mana 5/5 Naga. While this is in your hand, it transforms after you cast a Fire, Frost, or Arcane spell. I don't know if it continuously swaps, or if it swaps after the first one and is permanent.
It keeps swapping.
It keeps swapping. All right, cool. Thanks for the clarification. So let's let me just run you guys through the 3 modes. So if you cast an Arcane spell, Lady Nasjar turns into a 5-mana 5/5 with the battle cry. Reduce the cost of spells in your hand by 1. That juicy line of text that everybody loves to hear. If you cast a Frost spell, she turns into a 5-mana 5/5 battle cry. Gain 8. And a Fire spell turns her into a 5-mana 5/5 battle cry. Deal 5 damage to an enemy minion and 2 adjacent ones. So yeah, pretty unique card here. How are we feeling about her?
A little bit of clarity. She gained 8 armor is what the Frost spell battle cry does. But
Did I miss that? Sorry.
yeah, no, that's all right. But clearly this demonstrates that there is no favoritism towards mage because this card seems kind of bad.
Oh.
Rebutted. But I mean it's a cool card. I'd like to see more of this in the future, just better. I guess. Like it does a lot of things. I just don't know where it fits. Maybe in standard Naga Mage wants this because they have infinite mana, and then like that gives you flexibility. But that's not a deck that's really translated well into Wild. So.
I mean, in Wild, I would definitely play this in Reno Mage. Like assuming that you're running just a small number of spells, right? Like this, like First Flame, Flame Wood, Ice Block, Ray of Frost. I don't know what arcane stuff you got going on, but I don't know. Like I think the effects are all. Well, the arcane isn't really that good in that kind of thing,
right?
But like 5/5 gain 8 armor, you know, that's like a much better heal bot. I don't think heal bot has scaled that badly over the years. Like I don't think we're jamming heal bot in that many decks, but like I think getting the extra stats and making armor is very useful, and I think the fire version as well, deal 5 to adjacent, like that's such an insane tempo swing. Like that's really really good. So I like both of these. It's a sort of like standalone defensive on curve mage decks. So the ice and the fire version, and I really like the arcane effect. Situationally in more of those combo mage decks. Does that mean it's going to fit in Wild? Not really, because Reno Mage isn't really that relevant, and Quest Mage isn't going to play this. But I think it'll see a lot of play in Standard. I think it'll be a staple of that, of the class for however long this is in the format, unnerfed.
All right.
No,
Good.
I think I totally missed the Ray of Frost plus First Flame. Like those two as defensive options are kind of nutty. Like in a Reno Mage, Luna's Pocket Galaxy or not.
Trust me, not. Regardless, if you let's say you play the Frost version of it, right? And you play a 5-mana 5/5, gain 8 armor. If I then proceed to cast like a Zola or a like Potion of Illusion, do I get the Frost version or do I get the base version and have to cast another spell?
I believe you would get the Frost version because like the transformation would have happened and it would have played. And then
that would be my assumption as well. Like
I'm
unless it's
like, oh, go ahead.
And unless it's a special case for this particular card, like that would be the only reason it wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean that
Just
would
because,
definitely influence how good it is in Arena Mage, right? Because you have such limited spells, anyways. But yeah, I mean, I was playing some Arena Mage today. You've kind of convinced me, Corb. You've kind of convinced me. The deck needs all the help that it can get, so I'll be excited to try it out. All right, so let's move into to Paladin here. So let's start with Myrmidon, another spider tank here. Naga, 3 mana, 3/4. After you cast a spell on this minion, draw a card. So some
Excited.
What, you're so excited about
So
this one?
excited. Yes, dude, we got card draw in Paladin. Like, oh my god, I love card draw. Especially in a deck like Libram Paladin, you know, like that's been one of the biggest weaknesses of Libram Paladin is kind of the inability to sort of churn through the deck and things like that. We have like Christology, but there aren't a ton of options beyond that, and obviously works super well with that card. So, you know, real looking forward to jamming this. I think Paladin got one of the most powerful sets, I think, out of any class, probably. And yeah, I mean, it's just good, right? Like, sure, play this. I like it.
Now, even if you're only drawing like 1 or 2 cards, right? Like you're still happy with 3 mana, 3/4, draw 2. Seems like a powerful card in something like Libram Paladin.
Which, yeah, you're not paying mana for the Librams anyway, so it really is just 3 mana, draw 2, and then you also get the potential to do that again with your other copy of Myrmidon and your additional like spells, and yeah, like it's silly in this, especially when you consider another card that's released in the set that we'll, I'm sure, be talking about too. Like, you gotta have something to draw into, right? You need a payoff.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it.
Well, I was gonna say as well, I was trying to think of like what are the other like 0 or 1 mana like cards that you want to put on this. I know like Garden's Grace is like a potential one. Like that could be pretty juicy, right? Like you just tank this up, make it massive, and they can't remove it. You just keep going. But I think there's some other ones, like a couple 1 mana. Let's see, like Blessing of Wisdom. I don't know.
That's
We're
the
getting
card
weird at
draw
that
one.
point.
Yeah, whenever you attack, draw.
Yeah.
Holy
Mackerel? Yeah, Holy Mackerel is like really nutty with this. So
all right,
that's a great
now you
shout.
got me really interested. Oh,
It's 10 mana, draw 7.
gee. Oh.
The problem with that though is that you're gonna get back a bunch of Maki rolls from your Lady Leadrin if you don't.
Maybe okay. Well, honestly though, like maybe we don't even run the Leadrin then, right? Because I think the ability to draw like 4 or 5 cards off of this sounds like worth maybe giving up the Leadrin for, you know, especially if we also get some 0 mana 5/5s to go along with it. So, I mean, pretty excited. Yeah, now you got me really excited with this mention of the Holy Mackerel. Oh goodness! All right, let's talk about Light Ray, the other payoff here for like the Libram Paladin style decks. So Light Ray is a 9 mana 5/5 taunt. That's an elemental. Wait, why the hell are we talking about a 9 mana 5/5? Because you will never be spending 9 mana on this. It is a very similar card to stuff like a Devoted Pupil, Thing from Below. This costs 1 less for each Paladin card that you've played this game. 0 mana 5/5s with taunt. Historically, been very, very strong cards in our format, and I don't think Light Ray is going to be that big of an exception. Yeah, I mean, I think you can probably be expecting to get this down as a 0 mana 5/5 on turn 4, turn 5, especially if you're churning through your deck with the Holy Mackie rolls and Myrmidons. But on turn 4, turn 5, I think you can expect it to be like at least a 2 or 3 mana taunt at the most. And so we're talking a lot about Libram Paladin here, and I think Light Ray, like, we're talking about that because it's like the most obvious inclusion. Libram Paladin is really the only class that runs a whole bunch of Paladin cards. Like Reno Paladin is a deck, but it doesn't really run a ton of like a very high density of Paladin cards, and so I'm excited for it in this Libram Paladin shell. I don't know if you guys have ideas about anywhere else.
Well, okay. So the reason Libram is so appealing is because you get the Librams back, right? So like you're not paying mana for them, and you're reducing the mana of this, as well as buffing up the Myrmidon. You kind of got my wheels turning a little bit with that idea of cutting Lady Leadrin. What if we just turn Libram Paladin into like a Dark Glare deck, where you run Arcane Giant at the top end, you churn through your deck with Myrmidon? I mean, you're laughing, like you have Devout Pupils in there for like I legitimately
it's this kind of laugh, like
I know. I think that's where you go with the deck right now. Like, you just shove a Battlemaster in there, you stick a Myrmidon after reducing the cost of your Librams, and like that could get out of control pretty quickly.
How do you feel about Rebuke, Roffle?
I cut the Lotheb. Just run double rebuke. Like that's a rebuke's a paladin card. Like
Yep.
yeah. You go low enough in your curve. You go low enough in your curve, and you can even work in a God. It's been so long since we've played it. The 3-mana draw your deck. I can't even remember the name. It's been so long, but
Divine
like
Favor?
Draw your
Divine
deck.
Favor.
Oh,
Like,
Divine Favor. Oh my god.
yeah, like that way you just go super low curve, holy Maki rolls, Myrmidon, Librams, probably just your 1-mana Librams and Knight of Anointment. You can get the 3-mana cost reduce, draw a spell lady, and really just like burn through your deck, slam rebuke, and drop a bunch of giants.
So I think all we're missing at this point is like Radiant Elemental. For
That's
Paladin.
you have a permanent Radiant Elemental in if you play 2 of the 1-mana 1/3s, you have a permanent Radiant Elemental
But then
for
you have
your
to like
Librams.
kill off the minion, right? In order to get the Libram back.
Rooms.
Yeah, I mean, but then you're not casting the Libram on the Myrmidon, so you're not drawing the card.
No, but you are reducing the cost of your Light
the
Ray
0
and
and
your
5/5s.
Arcane Giants
Yeah,
and your Devout Pupils. Like that's a lot of stuff.
I mean, that
think
you
there's
have me
something
intrigued by, though, right? Like, just Holy Mackie roll. I mean, that card's already, like, nuts with stuff like Cariel, which you're already going to be running
You could-
anyways.
Okay, go a step further. Since you're running Holy Maki roll already, you could also run the High Priest the Call and Molten Giant combo, and that really makes an argument for Divine Favor in there.
Wait, we're just playing Dark Lord Paladin. Oh.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Oh. All right, guys. We broke the meta right here, right now, before we've even seen the cards. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to play some Paladin. I haven't said that in a long time.
Yeah, I think Paladin got generally the most exciting set. Very interested in what like the big idea that Roffle's talking about here with the whole Giants package in general. I don't know. This could just be I'm kind of just like flipping through the cards now because if there's a way to build Paladin which is just like almost entirely 1-drop focused that doesn't gas out, and it's possible because you do have cards like Christology and Blessing of Wisdoms that sort of just churn through and cycle and things like that, then you can get this down on turn 4 for 0, right? Like you get the total of 10 mana by turn 4. And so there might be some way to drop 0 mana 5/5 taunts somewhat consistently, which is exciting, right? Because that's what pushed Beast Druid. Basically, like 0 mana 5/5s, they push archetypes all by themselves. So yeah, really, really interested in what Paladin can do with this mini set.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about these 2 cards. Paladin did have a third one, by the way. It's called Frontlines. So this is a 9-mana epic spell. Summon a minion from both players' decks. Repeat until either side of the battlefield is full.
So dumb.
It's a really weird card. Very weird card.
It's so dumb.
But, I mean, High Abyss Allura got unnerfed in Wild. Can we do some junk with, like, High Abyss Allura into coin and then Frontlines out, like, 6, 8, or 9 drops? Like, sounds really gross.
So what's really great about that play is you play High Abyss Allura and then the coin on curve, and you pull 1 minion from your deck into play, and then your opponent's board is full because they're aggro rogue, and then you die. Like you would literally be doing literally nothing. You can't right, like
I see.
You can't play early game spells to remove their stuff. You don't want to play early game minions to remove their stuff because you need things with big at the top end. Like you are going to lose a lot of games of Hearthstone doing that. Now, that said, I'm gonna do it, but like
okay. You just treat it like tip the scales in a generic aggro deck, right? With anything. Oh, with prismatic lens. Is that? Do we just do that?
So you want to tip the scales times 4, right? So 2 tips, 2 front lines?
Yeah, that's honestly probably better.
Or do you want to just like cut the tips and just like play good cards? Like jugglers and
maybe just cut the tips and just run like I don't know, like just aggro cards. But then again, the Murlocs do scale so well. But I don't know. I guess you wouldn't really need like multiple copies of that. So I don't know. Look, I'm trying to think it out here because It's kind of funny where it's the type of card that you want in like a pure big deck, but it'll never actually happen. It feels like. I mean, maybe with just Noz. Just slam the Noz on curve and then Reno Paladin just plays this on the next turn and you just win the game. Like, is that ever a thing that you can do? You just slam this in Reno Paladin?
I mean, and then you like playing against a druid and you pull out the Mecha'thun and the Line Cracker and the High Abyss Allura.
We have a lot of big guys that have Rush, right? We have like immediate impact. We have
what I'm saying is like
we have the Colossus. Yeah.
Disrupt their combo too, right? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, when you do
that.
I'm down.
Okay.
I mean, okay, look, Big Paladin sucks. You have to do something cheesy like this in order to make the deck work, right? And so like I'm kind of digging it. Yeah. Anyways,
someone has to.
Paladin's got us deep in thought. I think we're excited about Paladin from this mini set. If you guys can't tell. All right. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about some other classes here. So let's move on to Priest. Let's talk about Disarming Elemental. So Disarming Elemental is a 4-mana 4/4 elemental. Believe it or not, battle cry: dredge for your opponent. Set its cost to 6. So some disruption for the opponents here in Priest, attached to a 4-mana 4/4. So just how powerful do we think this effect of dredging for the opponent and making the card cost 6 really is?
So I brought this up on the reveal stream. Not to bring that up again, but I was on the reveal stream. But it's basically like for an aggro deck, against an aggro deck, it's basically 4 mana, discard a card from their hand. But right? Like they're not going to pay 6 mana for a 1-drop. So like, I mean, that's pretty good. It's just a matter of like, where does this fit? Like if you're playing a Questalane Reno Mage, yeah, or Reno Priest rather, yeah, like you just want to play a 4-drop on curve anyway. So this wants to be in a deck where you can kind of just play it on curve. But aside from that, like, probably doesn't see much play outside of that type of thing, just because there aren't a whole lot of priest decks that want to play 4-mana 4/4 on curve. It does slow things down significantly, but that deck's kind of just okay, and like it does do good against aggro, so it's like helping it do the thing that it's good at. So I like it there.
Yeah, I had the same thought, right? Where it was either Inner Fire or Shadow Priest. Like any priest deck that wants to be playing aggressively. I actually heard some people like float the idea of putting in this in like Quest Priest and things like that. And I think that's just like the wrong direction. Like I think this needs to be in a deck that is, taking initiative and kind of going face and is just using this as 4-mana 4/4. Your opponent doesn't get the next draw. Like that's the card effect. So it's kind of a funny effect. Like it reminds me of Yada Garasu, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh! That's where Yada's name comes from. In case you didn't know, that card's like attack, and then your opponent skips the next draw. So thank God this card isn't in Shaman, because that's basically what would have happened. But is it better than something like Akani? Right? Like, is it better than Akani and a Shadow Priest or Inner Fire Priest? And the thing is, Akani's not even that amazing in those kind of decks. Even like Loathab, right? Like Loathab might be a similar thing. So I kind of like it, but 4-mana 4/4, it's pretty unappealing in those kind of decks, just because it might get kind of dicey. It's hard to recover tempo if you're like in an aggro mirror and you play a 4-mana 4/4. Like that's so bad. So I can't really see it, but man, I'm just picturing it in Shaman. That would have been just so funny. Well, tilting, but
all right, we got a couple other cards that we could talk about in Shaman. Don't worry, that'll be pretty disgusting. But let's move on to our next spider tank here. Let's talk about Herald of Light, 3-mana 3/4 Naga. Battle cry: if you've cast a holy spell while holding this, restore 6 health to all friendly characters, so minions and your hero. 3-mana 3/4 Divine Hymn is basically what this is on a body. I'm really struggling to find a place in Wild that wants this. I don't know if that Giant's Priest wants it, but I don't think it wants more minions to delete their draws. I know Ogres had that Luminous Geode Priest. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's a really funny deck, and that might want this. But outside of that, I'm not really sure. Like, I don't even think this is like that powerful of an effect to begin with. Like on its own to warrant being run in like Arena Priest.
No. Nope. I mean, we've seen this card before on and off a body, and
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, let's talk about power creep, Roffle. I know that's your favorite word here. Let's talk about Entomb and how it's been power crept to hell. Let's talk about Drown, 4-mana shadow spell. Put an enemy minion on the bottom of your deck. Yeah, power Entomb, man, power crept. It's 4 mana now.
I know, and this isn't just power creep because it's a 2-mana cost reduction. Like, this is significantly better because like it goes to the bottom of your deck. You know where it is. That matters for a couple of reasons. If for whatever reason you do want to dredge it up and you happen to be running Dredge and Priest for whatever reason, you can do that. But more often than not, the card that you put from your opponent's battlefield into your deck is going to be bad for you because that's a card that your opponent is running, not you. So you don't want that card. You know it's down there. You don't have to worry about a bad top deck in the near future like you kind of did with the Entomb, right? So, like, yeah, it got significantly better. Now that said, 4-mana single target removal in Wild is is like, what are you spending this on? Like, what is the payoff for this card? What do you need to remove? Like, you remove the only thing that makes sense is like even luck. You remove 1 minion from them, okay, they've got another one next turn. You're just trading turns with them at that point, which is a losing battle, and you're already beating that deck with just like good mass removal rather than good single target removal. So high quality card. I still don't know. Like, I don't know that the metagame is suited for this type of card right now. You could consider just running it in Arena Priest, but Arena Priest is not like that great again. So yeah.
All right, so Priest, bunch of cards. Not sure what to do with them. That's my best description. They're just a bunch of cards. All right, let's move on to Rogue here. Let's talk about Shatter Shambler. Great name for a card. It's a 1-mana 1/3 elemental. I think one of the first 1/3s we've seen in Rogue, with a pretty interesting effect here. Battlecry, your next Death Rattle minion costs 1 less. So the 1/3 doesn't have to stick around for this. But the Death Rattle minion immediately dies when played. So I think we've, from my viewing of people's discussion about this card, kind of come to the conclusion that we don't want this in Wild Mine Rogue because you need the mine to stick around so that you can like break your weapon and things like that. So I think what I've been thinking about, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but it's just like some Breakfast Rogue where you play this on turn 1, you play a Devilsaur Egg or a Nerubian Egg on turn 2, or even like coin out the Nerubian Egg on turn 1, and you get a 1/3 and a 4/4. It sounds kind of hot to me. It's a lot of tempo, a lot of stats. Play some eggs.
Yeah, anytime anybody starts talking about egg decks, like I just remember every single experience that I've ever had with an egg deck in the Wild format, and I move on. I just tune out.
But this time it'll be good. This time
I don't
different.
even. No, it won't be. I don't even think there's ever a discussion necessary for this card in Mine, Rogue, and Wild because your entire source of damage comes from breaking the weapon and essentially quadrupling the death rattle. So this is like disqualifying because it prevents that from being a possibility, and you lose a substantial amount of your damage. So unless there's some good like aggressive like low cost death rattles that aren't eggs, because eggs are terrible, then I don't know where this would fit really.
Yeah, I'm having a quick scroll, just see if anything jumps out. I think egg decks, like, it'll be fine, but at the same time, there's kind of some awkwardness where, honestly, like, if you're playing out, like, the 0-mana, the 2-mana 0/2 or whatever, like, get a 3/4, great. You played a 2-mana 3/4. Like, that's not really that impressive,
1 mana,
right?
it costs
like,
1 less, okay? It's a 1 mana.
Oh, if I had 1 mana 4/4. I don't know. Maybe
that's
like
good,
it'll probably be
though.
fine in the
Yeah.
Okay, it'll probably be fine in the egg deck. I don't believe in the egg deck, but it'll probably be fine in the egg deck. I think maybe someday this can be the thing that breaks Mechathune in Rogue again.
Well, no, you can't, right? Because
No,
you have to play the Mechathune and then Secret Passage before you.
Right.
No.
do
I'm not
anything.
thinking like with that strategy. I'm thinking like someday we'll get something else where we want the Mechathune to just get played and die instantly, and like that'll just kill it off, and like it'll be great.
That would require you to somehow empty your hand and deck
Unstable,
very distant,
Myra's
very
elemental
distant
or
in the
whatever,
future.
evolution.
like
It's a crazy
the
card,
hand.
whatever it's
Well,
called.
I know, but the hand is the hard part, right? Because
Yeah.
that's why Secret Passage is so important to that, and I think that'll just always be the easiest way to get there. Unfortunately,
dude.
I mean,
you guys aren't believers, man. In the egg rogue, I'll prove you all wrong.
All right, I expect the screenshot of coin prep, snowfall graveyard into this, and then an egg, and then you like, cropping out the part where you had to concede on turn 5 because you were still dead.
Yeah. But you'll get the screenshot, and that's all that matters. Okay, it'll happen, I promise. All right. Next up, we have the card that's finally going to break that 4-mana 2/2. Your next spell costs 0. We did it. We understand why they printed it now. Let's talk about Jackpot. It's a 2-mana spell. Add 2 random spells from other classes that cost 5 or more to your hand.
Wow.
And this reads, always hit Ultimate Infestation or Miracle Growth and not Glacial Mysteries.
Wow. Worse Clever Disguise? Tell me more.
It's
awesome.
not worse Clever Disguise because it gives you synergy with that 4-mana 2/2. I can't remember.
I'll have you know. I'll have you know, I already broke that card with a smoke screen, and this is not going to be the card that does it. What does appeal to me, though, is you could get a puzzle box of Yogg-Saron off of this. But the problem with that is that there's so many heavy spells in Wild. Like for every puzzle box, there's like 3 glacial mysteries in reality because for some reason a lot of really bad spells end up having a really high mana cost. I guess that's why they end up being bad. Is like
Man, getting recycle off this nutty. Like I don't know, they're so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah,
I do not understand
why
this card exists in the way that it does. Like
this feels 1 mana.
Right. Yeah. This feels just like a Tooth of Nefarian.
Oh.
Where it's just like, why is this printed at this mana cost?
Yeah,
and
right.
why does it do so? Why does it have such strange restrictions to it too? Like, if you're going to add those heavy spells, give some cost reduction associated with it or something. Like Rogue doesn't want to play that 4-mana 2/2 just so that it can potentially get a payoff from this card, right? Like that's not a real thing.
What if it made the cards cost 5 every time? That way you could at least roll an 8 and then you could be like, oh, 5-mana Miracle Growth. Like, oh, sick payoff.
Yeah, no, I think that would make, even if it just reduces it by a set number, it doesn't have to set them 2/5. Just like, I don't know, get some cost reduction associated with this because
so bad.
It is bad.
Card sucks.
Dude, why is it called Jackpot? Like, this is a scam of a casino. Whoever's running this game is absolutely, like, just destroying folks.
Yeah, it's one of those crypto casinos in Curacao.
Yeah.
It makes the art on this card even more fitting, too, doesn't it? All right.
Yeah, the house always wins.
It's true.
I don't think anyone wins with this Roffle.
Your opponent does.
Oh, true. Okay, the house, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least here for Rogue, we've got Inkveil Ambusher. This is a 2-mana 1/2 Naga with Stealth, has +3 attack and immune while attacking. Stealth Rogue has
already been banned from Arena, by the way.
Has already been. Yeah, this is true. Very important note. They learned their lesson from Gangster, right? This card will not be in Arena. In Wild though, we have a couple of stealth synergies in Rogue. They're not very good, and this card's not great on its own, but
it curves into Greyheart Sage. I think it's a fine card on its own. It's just like we had this discussion with Jay, and the awkwardness of this is the immune part wants to make it trade, but the decks that it wants to go in make it want to go face. So you're kind of in this awkward point where like you have to trade, because if you don't trade, you get it cleared, value traded on the backswing, but like 4 attack wants to go face, like make on turn 3 4 attack go face, like make it happen. So the only way this really is useful is if the opponent doesn't have any minions for whatever reason, and then the immune is completely irrelevant, and then it dies to removal anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of decks that don't have minions in the early game, right? There's quest mages and druids and stuff, right? It's not terrible.
I mean, this plus the Spy Mistress, there are a lot of aggressively statted stealth minions that I love. Greyheart Sage, so I'm gonna try it, but like it's not gonna be good. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
fine.
the same way. Like I want to play Greyheart Sage, man. I want to play. I want to play that card again. I want to draw
I
some
do like
cards.
that card. Yeah.
So, oh, Corb looks like
Yeah.
he's scrolling, looking.
Yeah, I was looking at stuff. I was looking at some of these supposed stealth payoffs. um, but I don't know. I like it. Like, I like it. If it didn't die to a cannon shot. Like, that part's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Hard to have stealth matter when random 2 damage pings are flying around. But I don't know. I guess something like Shadow Priest. This is like probably so good and like an aggressive mirror, like insane. Where you can just keep on making value trades and they just can't really do that much about it. But if you get ahead.
Just be skilled and have it always dodge cannon shots, so that it can kill the cannon. It's easy.
Well, yeah, exactly. The thing is that if it does dodge the cannon shots, the cannon's gone, so that's not a problem until the next
Yeah,
one
but
comes down.
they play like 17 cannon shots on turn 2. Like I don't know.
I know.
Just be good and dodge them all. Just be Neo from the Matrix. Come on. All right, let's move on to Shaman here. Let's talk about some of these Murlocs. Let's talk about Tide Lost Burrower. It's a 4-mana 4/4 Murloc. 4 mana, already a lot in a Murloc deck, but has Battlecry, Dredge. If you dredge a Murloc to the top of your deck, summon a 2/2 copy of it. It's basically a 4 mana 6/6 in your Murloc decks across 2 bodies. 4 mana 6/6 is a lot of mana for not that many stats. That being said, they both get Rush off your Lushwater Scout. So no, okay.
No, I mean, there it could also generate a Lushwater Scout. It probably won't get this card Rush, but like I don't know. The issue I see with it is getting to the 4 mana part. So, fortunately, there's a card that helps with that.
All right. I mean, let's talk about Clownfish. Evil Nemo is what it looks like. 3 mana 3/2 Murloc. Your next 2 Murlocs cost 2 less. And that's not limited to just this turn. So the next 2 Murlocs will be permanently discounted by 2. I mean, this is like the mana cheat that Murloc Shaman's been wanting, right? Like, it's got some value. It's got a little bit of damage. This is the mana cheat part. It comes attached to a 3 mana cost, right? A 3 mana 3/2. But I mean, it's mana cheat in Murloc Shaman. So do you think this moves the needle on that deck at all? I know it lost Drekthar, but...
I mean, it's call to arms if you've got the gas. It's just like, does Murloc Shaman got the gas? I don't know, like Ice Fishing and Underbelly Angler, those are really good. Like, but they're not great. Like, it's not quite enough. There are a lot of games with Murloc Shaman where you do kind of peter out a little bit. So, I don't know. Tempo good. Like, I really like as well that you can just pair it with the Underbelly on the same turn, immediately get the trigger. So that's really nice. But I don't quite know if it's got the gas to support this fully, to make it like super top tier, but I think it's got busted like so strong.
Yeah, the fact that it's 2 Murlocs and they cost 2 less Murlocs are already inexpensive. You're paying 3 mana to then spend 4 mana, right? Like,
yeah,
that's I think the call to arms is a good comparison. Yeah, they're coming from your hand, but like if one of them's an Underbelly Angler, then you're kind of refilling your hand. So if there's a card that's bringing Murloc Shaman back, it might be this one. It's just like, is Murloc Shaman coming back, right? Like, I don't know. Mana Cheat does a lot of things. It's this plus everything is awesome is a lot of Mana Cheat, right? It's not necessarily happening on the same turn, but like it gets you closer to that goal, which is kind of the deck's goal, right? That's a lot of numbers.
Man, there's some kind of nasty stuff you can do if you have 2 of these, like with Mutinous and stuff, and even Free Shaman. Like, I know that people tend to want to just go for the Ice Fishing Flogel combo, but man, I'm just thinking like Clownfish, and then like Mutinous costs 3, or wait, Mutinous costs 1.
Would they stack like
cost
that?
3s. Mutinous will cost 3. Well,
I think they would stack it. Yeah, I think they would stack.
Well, the first Clownfish makes the next could cost 2 less, and the second Clownfish would make the very first one be 4 less.
Okay.
And then the next one would be 2 less.
So that's a 4 mana play to reduce your Mutanus by 4 mana. So
yeah.
I guess you don't. I guess it splits it up over multiple turns though, so you can still get it down a little bit earlier. But
I don't know.
Are we talking about Murloc Free Shaman here? Is that what
I'm
we're
just thinking.
doing?
I'm just thinking about clownfish and double ice fishing and flurgle talks and mutinous. Like, I don't know, maybe,
Just
but that
throw a
might be a bit of a
Stardeal in
reach.
there.
Yeah, Sky. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, let's give it dude, what's his name? The Gigafin. Yeah, let's put that in Shaman. That'll be great.
I was about to
What's the
say,
worst that
like,
could
you have a
happen?
very easy answer to your petering out issue in Murloc Shaman. Just throw the quest in there, like everybody used to.
Uh, yuck. Yo,
Yeah, that's how we get you to stop talking about Murloc Free Shaman.
sorry.
But yeah, Clownfish, very, very good card. I think it will push Murloc Shaman. Like you guys have mentioned, that Murloc Shaman is very, very low right now. And so even with this push, it's going to take a lot for it to be a competitive deck again. But we'll see. And last but not least, Command the Neptulon of Neptulon. Yeah, Command of Neptulon. 5 mana nature spell. Summon 2 5/4 elementals with Rush. Overload 1. So 5 mana for a 10/8 with Rush across 2 bodies. Good stats. Doesn't really synergize with anything going on in Wild though, so I don't know if it'll see any play, but it seems like a really solid like standard and arena card.
Yeah, I mean it's the faceless rush thing, right? So that was a good card. This is a good card. Just it's a card without a home, I think.
All right.
Might see it in Free Shaman. Maybe. I can see it. Maybe.
I don't know.
Nature. Most happy
mean,
about that.
Do you want to
No, Free
delete your
Shaman.
draws? I guess is the question, right? With double
Huh?
devolve, double bloom, and
Double
you're okay
devolve,
not
double
doubling
blue. Oh,
off of your
I only.
Dungeoneer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't really play like more than one bloom anyway, but I don't know. Like Free Shaman doesn't really have any removal. Like it has a lot of stall once you get to 6 mana, but it kind of lacks the actual removal in the early game apart from devolve. Like this, I don't know. There's a lot of stats and a lot of removal, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this is not good enough. Maybe it's just like standalone great card, but you're right. This doesn't have a home. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really consider running Faceless Corruptor in those decks, right? Which would like synergize better with Shutterwalk, and so
Well, this is a lot better because you like doesn't need the minion on board already.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, true. All right, let's move on to Warlock here. Some of the most controversial cards, I think I would say, at least when it comes to Twitter and Reddit conversations. So let's start with the easy one. Let's start with Herald of Shadows. 3 mana 4/2 Naga. Battlecry, if you've cast a shadow spell while holding this, steal 2 health from a minion. So basically it becomes like a 3 mana 4/4. Remove a minion. But you have to like have cast a shadow spell. If you're playing like a defensive deck, you got a lot of shadow spells, right? Touch, Drain Soul, all that kind of good stuff. But if you're playing like a more aggressive strategy, you got like Raise Dead and PO, and that's like it. And Solarium. No, not interested in a 3 mana 4/4 deal 2.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we've
Mm-mm.
seen that it feels like that card exists or a similar thing exists to that, and we don't really run it, right? Like it's basically like the elemental bird. Like it's 1 mana cheaper. Like
And it's a
yeah, I
no.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
It's bigger.
I would rather just delete my deck and play the bristleback with lifesteal than this. Like this, I don't know. I don't really see it. Like
Not a
Warlock,
wild card.
the one, yeah, exactly. The one thing that Warlock can do exceptionally well in our format is remove minions. It does not need a 3 mana remove a singular minion when it can just clear any board that is presented with.
I mean, if you're playing like a more aggressive strategy, maybe, right? Like if you're running, I don't even know if like the aggressive strategies can support the shadow spell. Regardless, let's move on to the fun cards here, the ones that are going to be fun to talk about. So let's start with the legendary minion here, Commander Ulthok. So 5 mana 7/7. Battlecry. Your opponent's cards cost health instead of mana next turn.
They sure do.
Yeah,
5 mana
very
Millhouse.
decisive opinions about this card. I'm interested in y'all's.
5 mana Millhouse. Like that's what else is there? Like I think the intention of this is that you use it as like you drop it as a finisher to curse Warlock so that they can't actually pay the mana or pay mana to remove the curses. They have to take damage, but then even in that deck that feels like way too cute. Wouldn't you rather just like find ways to bounce your curse minions or do something like that to like continue growing the curses or like add more curses to the opponent's hand? I don't know. It's a good evolved target. So we said that. I think that's like that's the sign that. Yeah.
I mean, look, if only there was a way. If this wasn't like Battle Cry, right? If this was like an aura. We could treachery it. We could have some actual fun. We could play all our cards for no mana. But it's not. It's just terrible. Like I don't know what's going on. What is this? What is this card? Why did they print this card? Why are we contending with Duskfall or Eviana? Like what's going on?
It could be one day in the future when you have an aggro warlock deck again. Those haven't existed for a very long time, but you could run this as like your finisher in that deck.
But
I'm reaching
you
really
Drop a
hard.
Lothar.
Yeah,
you run
exactly.
This and Lothar. You get two of them.
Or you could just play Cute Lock and kill him on turn 3. Like,
yeah, all right. I'm trying, dude. I'm
I
trying
actually
to give it a little bit of
understand
hope.
this card. I legit don't. I don't get it. Like, but
No,
I don't know.
I think the intention is like a finisher for Curse Warlock,
Okay.
or like an aggro finisher, like Meow said. I don't even know if that's an intention or like that's probably where it would be the most useful, to be honest. But like, just turn one Soulfire people and throw Power Overwhelming on every minion, and then drop this on 5, and you're golden, right?
I will say I've seen some comparisons to Lucia, and my mind was breaking reading those comments. Like OG Lucia.
Yeah, do they understand that 5 mana is a lot more than 2?
Yeah,
and still quite a bit more than 3, right?
It is Twitch chat math, so I don't know.
We're thinking about newer Lucia. Was that
maybe
maybe
I read it wrong? Yeah,
that card's also terrible. I can see that comparison.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm sure that people in the comments will tell us how wrong we are, and in a few weeks we'll be eating these words, right?
Absolutely.
Join the Discord or leave comments down below the YouTube video. Tell us how wrong we are and why exactly we are.
No. We got to save that for this next card.
Yeah, that's true.
Why not both? Why not both? Let's move on to Immolate, a card that I read and I like busted up laughing for like 5 minutes because I couldn't really understand why this was also printed. Let me read it here for you guys. Try not to laugh while doing it. So Immolate is a 4-mana fire spell. I can't even. I'm laughing as I do this. Light every card in your opponent's hand on fire. In 3 turns, any still in hand are destroyed.
I mean, you're laughing, Meowth. But the Hearthstone subreddit is literally on fire right now, and that's not funny. Okay? This card is going to break the game. I cannot believe that the developers not only printed this card, but also kicked my dog in the process. How dare they?
This killed Control.
That, by the way, I'm putting that on Twitter. Just saying.
This has killed Control and Combo, and at the same time, it made Hearthstone a pure aggro game. They've done it again. The devs. How could they?
Yeah.
Well, it's because everybody knows that the developers favor aggro and love aggro.
It's true.
And that's
just like
the
Mage.
reason.
Just like Mage. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to dive in on why this is terrible? Like, who wants to take off first?
Because in 3 turns you're dead.
Right.
Whether it's combo, whether it's aggro, in 3 turns you're dead.
Yeah.
And this card doesn't delete control as a format because control is already dead in our format because of aggro and control, or aggro and combo. Like the speed of combo decks has already deleted control decks from the format. There is not a warlock deck that exists right now that I would consider playing this, and this is not a deck that you want to, or card necessarily that you want to build around, right? Because like you just end the game, right? Like you can just end the game with Mechathune or any of your other phylactery combos.
I mean, man, it is going to be very tilting though when you play like a Mechathune mirror and your opponent plays this, and they hit that essential combo piece. But I mean, I don't know. Like the combo decks in the format. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, in that situation, if I've got a rod equipped, GG, I win. Like what? Like I just combo in 3 turns and you lose. Like you spent the turn playing Immolate. I spend the turn drawing cards and winning the game. What did that accomplish?
Well, I mean, if you can't combo the Mechathune by 7, then I mean that is the one like niche situation I think. But generally, what I was saying is, Wild decks in general, like the combo stuff, is already so fast and so rat proof for the most part. Like any of the viable decks tend to just be like Quest Mage, right? Like this doesn't really do that much against something like Quest Mage or aggro. It's complete garbage, completely unplayable. Even like a lot of the Reno decks, if you play this early, in 3 turns is so long. Like they can just dump like almost everything a lot of the time. A lot of everything relevant. So you just like passing for 4. Like this is just sort of a Ticketus except worse. I think, and people will complain about it. So probably similarly to Ticketus. Like I'm sure that there will be people that are playing this in their grindy control, Reno, lock, and things like that. And you know, in some of those matchups, it will have a use, but in general, it's just horrific, and it's not going to be the reason why any particular deck is or isn't viable. Like this is going to be irrelevant, but people are going to bitch about it, and you know, you can't really stop that though.
Yeah, it gives me very similar vibes to when Glide was originally released, and it was like unplayable trash for 2 years until like the quest line came out, and then had like that very fringe synergy there. I cannot foresee any card that gets printed that has synergy with this and like makes you want to play Immolate. So
I like,
think
yeah, I had the same exact thought of like Glide when it was originally printed and how that was going to delete control. Unfortunately, like people's memory of like how bad Glide was initially is kind of been erased because the quest line did make it significantly better, but like it was a absolute trash tier card that people lost their minds over in a similar way that people are right now with Immolate, and like they're upset for the same reason. It wasn't the 4 mana draw cards, it was I lose my hand advantage. But like I don't know, in Wild in particular, if you're not playing aggro, you're mana cheating in some way, right? Like that, it's kind of mandatory for the format. So like Meow said, you can just dump hand and move on with the game
with your life,
in most situations.
I actually can see a world in which there is a legitimate like disruption warlock. Between like Dirty Rat, Altar of Fire, Immolate, like if there is a the excellent like cheap warlock removal, just Defile, Touch, Drain Soul, yada yada, making it good enough against aggro, and this is like a lot of heavy disruption between all those cards, and can kind of like take out a whole bunch of slow strategies. If there's a way for like warlock to have that, while having kind of like a 1-card Kazakhstan-esque win condition, so it can draw cards and not like lose and fatigue against these types of decks. I can actually see it. Like I can actually see that, but I don't see it right now, because we don't have Kazakhstan and because there are just better things that you can be doing. But I can see in a similar way where Glide was complete trash but became playable. I can actually see this in the future at some point. But I not right now, and you know, and again, it's not going to be like that deck is the reason why you can't play your favorite Reno grinder demon hunter or something.
No, because that deck is still has the same matchup spread essentially as like a Mechathune Warlock, maybe even worse matchup spread than a Mechathune Warlock. It's probably doing worse in aggro because it can't close out games as quickly, and you might let a few slip away. So yeah, it certainly exists. Like Ogre,
yeah, that's the deck. That's
exactly,
yeah, that's the kind of thing. Yeah.
That's the deck. But like even in that deck, I don't know how useful this would be, because like if you are talking about a Kazakhstan type card, like that's closing the game out for you already. So like, you know, you don't really need the Immolate to get there. I still don't think that card is what's, you know, pushing that archetype in that case. It's the closer that's allowing you to finish the game. It's not the removal of the hand. If you get to the point where you're able to spend 4 mana, wait 3 turns, you're probably at an advantageous position in that game anyway and pretty far ahead. So
yeah. Basically TLDR, guys. Don't worry about this card. don't think about it just yet.
It is going to be annoying for people that play greedy decks, but like there's so many things in this format right now that just absolutely decimate greedy decks. So
yeah,
like singling out an individual card seems kind of silly to me when like the whole format is punishing for that type of deck, which is maybe another discussion, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't see this even in standard doing much. Like maybe it gives you a way to win against as Curse Warlock into Control Warrior, but like, can't you already beat that? Like, if you should, I don't know. I don't.
All right. Regardless, let's wrap it up here. We're moving a little bit too long on these two cards. So let's move on into to Warrior. Let's start with Ingenious Lava Gorger. 4 mana, 3/5 elemental taunt, Battlecry Dredge. Gain armor equal to its cost. Tostingo upgrade number 7063. It's an elemental for Warrior. Menagerie Warrior with 10 trashers and stuff. I'm trying really hard. This card's not very exciting. And I mean, it's another card for even Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. All right. Tidal Revenant. 8 mana, 5/8 elemental, Battlecry, deal 5 damage, gain 8 armor.
Seems
like a
card.
sweet arena card.
Yep, the great arena card.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And last but not least, Clash of the Colossals. 3 mana spell that says add a random colossal minion to both players' hands. Yours cost 2 less.
You telling me I'm giving my opponent a colossal minion?
Yeah, but yours costs 2 less. Yeah, but
why does Warrior always get such trash cards in these mini sets, man? Like ever since Risky Skipper, I feel like it hasn't gotten a solid card.
So the great thing about yours costing 2 less is that you can play it, and then your opponent who generated a Gigafin can play it immediately behind you and clear your board perfectly. So like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know. We keep getting these like control tools. Like Warrior's they've been like pushing this control Warrior stuff so long, but nothing is making the difference in Wild, right? Like Roffle talked about when talking about Immolate, there's already so much that just punishes greed, defensive, slow, passive stuff in this format. It's kind of what the format's geared towards, and so these cards just don't have a home, like over and over and over.
All right, you guys good to move on to neutrals?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's start with the cutest card in the set. Let's talk about Bubbler. It's a 1 mana 2/4 elemental. After this minion takes exactly 1 damage, destroy it. Pop. I didn't hear it, Corby. It didn't come through the mic.
Ah, damn. Will it actually come through? Hang on. No,
there you go.
Not really.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what the text on the card sounds like.
Yeah.
It's a 1 mana 2/4 that dies really, really easily. 1-drop hunter, that quest, OG quest.
Am I crazy in thinking this is just kind of okay, pretty decent? Like worst case scenario, it's a 2/1, right? Best case scenario, it's a 2/4. Like,
Hell yeah.
if the problem is the number of hero powers that just ping it off, right? Because there aren't a lot of 1 attack minions rolling around right now.
I mean, patches.
There aren't a lot of yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, the rogue deck in particular, between Prize, Plunderer, Fillet Fighter, Patches, there's a lot going on. The Dagger, a lot going on there.
Just don't queue into rogues.
Yeah, it's
that
simple. Dude,
Moral
I mean,
of any
if you can
deck in
teach
this
me how
format right now.
If you can teach me to not queue into rogue Roffle, like, that would be a much more impressive thing than whatever Bubbler's got going on.
Well, I've heard Pirate Rogue isn't even that good anymore, so I don't know what you're complaining about.
That's crazy. Damn. I must be behind.
From multiple sources.
Interesting. Well, I don't know. I kind of like the Bubbler as well. I think it's okay. I don't know. It's just a shame. The Pirates really do just clap this. If the format was probably a lot more like mecha based, like even then there's like Click Clocker and it's like Click Clocker and Mecha Shark and Warlock has Defile and.
I mean, it would Bubbler is what I'm hearing here.
I know it feels so good coming off a Call to Arms too. Like,
yeah,
it's just not good enough. Like, it's just
it's
Defile
so cute,
wrecks it. I know. Just let me play it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. Reminisce about little Bubbler here. Snapdragon, 3 mana 3/3 beast. Battlecry. Give all Battlecry minions in your deck +1/+1. So Keleseth for Battlecries, except you get to run 2 of these without any deck restriction. I guess except your deck restrictions run a lot of Battlecries. Is is this potentially like playable in something like Beast Hunter, where you have all those like one drops with battle cries and you buff them up? And I don't really know where else we could see this play, but I mean it's a really powerful effect, right? It's like a Keleseth for your deck.
Yeah.
Oh, there were two decks that I kind of thought of. The one is the Beast Hunter that you talked about because it's just alley and it looks so well with Walpertinger.
Walpertinger, yeah.
Yeah, and even Spring Paw as well is like another one. So there's a lot of like really good ones. The other one is Handbuff Paladin. I know this isn't a handbuff card, but like you're running a lot of cheap battle cries and things like that because you just want to be able to broomstick people with things like that. But you need a lot of draw, you need a lot of cheap cards, and need a lot of battle cries. It's kind of asking for a lot, but you know what? Keleseth deserves a lot. It needs a more difficult restriction than not having 2-cost cards. So I like it. And especially in like Beast Hunter, having that much, from hand damage, like the scales really nicely with like the Tundra Rhino and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed by this card, but I think Handbuff Paladin is the more realistic, like meta relevant place to put it. Rip Beast Hunter.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot of people wanting to put this in Shadowwalk Shaman, and I feel like that's a huge mistake because just because a card says Battlecry doesn't mean it fits in an archetype, right? Like, you get enough stats in Shadowwalk Shaman by playing Shadowwalk and the Snowfall Man. So, what is the payoff for this other than like buffing your Serenite Chain Gang on curve, sort of? Like, that's kind of cute, but like that's not a game-winning play for that deck when they don't
then you
allow.
have to top deck the Serenite on 4 because it's
Right.
only cards in your deck too.
Exactly.
It is kind of funny. We did play Shadowwalk with Keleseth when it was in standard. Like that was a thing. That was like the right way to build it. But Wild as a whole has kind of moved away from just being able to splash that kind of effect in random decks. Like it's not the same anymore.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with Roffle. I think it doesn't do that much in something like Shaman.
Right. Like by the time you're getting to the top end of your curve, that +1 really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Like when you're comparing it to the stats that like a Snowfall Guardian adds. So.
Yeah, I do think the Handbuff Paladin though is a good shout because it's not something that I was thinking of too much. I was kind of tunneled on the Beast Hunter. But yeah, I mean Snapdragon seems like a pretty powerful card, pretty cool, powerful effect as well. And last but not least, for like neutral regular minions, let's talk about Coilfang Constrictor, a card that you definitely want to be shoving in that hostage Shutterwalk Shaman. It's a 4-mana 5/4 beast. Battlecry. Look at 3 cards in your opponent's hand and choose one. It can't be played next turn. Yeah, I like this effect. I'm a toxic person. I love this effect. It's a good card.
Same. This is going right into my tech Shaman. My opponents are going to win so many games against me, though.
Yeah, I was going to say this goes right in the bin. Where I was.
This is another one that people are predicting for Shadowwalk Shaman, but I feel like you have more than enough disruption tools in Okani, Loatheb, and the Battlecry one that I can ever think of. Even just like dirt, like I don't. If you're if the payoff is that this is good once you start Shutterwalking, you've already won that game.
Huh?
Yeah, right.
You've already won that game, and like is delaying. What turns can you delay? Like is delaying a turn or what single card? I don't know. It just seems like a worse Loatheb to me. I guess is what I'm trying to say because like, what singular card are you delaying by a turn that's going to help you win games of Hearthstone?
What if like you can stop a Savara from being played against Question?
Oh.
You can stop a secret passage once you've cleared the board against Pirate Rogue. You can stop Cataclysm from seeing play against him. I'm trying really hard.
No.
I don't think it's a good card, but it's really funny and it's like,
yeah,
it's gonna be fun. I'm with you that I don't necessarily think it's gonna be that good though.
Here's the play that you stop. You stop your opponent's Immolate.
I was going to say you stop your free Shaman opponent's Coilfang Constrictor.
I think the game would crash if you did that.
All right, let's move on to the 2 legendary colossal minions here. Let's start with Ozumat. Ozumat is a 8-mana 6/5 beast. Colossal +6. So he summons these 1/3 tentacles with no real text. But Ozomat himself, the colossal minion, has Death Rattle. For each of Ozomat's tentacles, destroy a random enemy minion. So if you do something like play dead with this with Ozomat, or you give it rush somehow, and then you rush it in and kill it, and you have like 6 tentacles, you will destroy 6 minions on the opponent's board. I think it works really nicely with stuff like Play Dead, Provoke, Devouring Swarm, cards like that. That being said, that means like in Wild, what are we really doing with it? Because I don't think you want to play something like Big Shaman, right?
No, I think you might reincarnate. I was already playing. I had a lot of success with reincarnate and Big Shaman just because of the synergy with Glug. Here you run into the issue where you're kind of like having the minions step over each other a little bit, but like, I mean, reincarnate's just kind of a good, okay card in that deck if you're running Colossus of the Moon as well. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it works in there. And like, yeah, clear the board, make a big wide board yourself. That seems all right.
I think there are better things for like Big Shaman. I mostly see this as like a standard harpoon gun card, and that's I don't really see it in Wild. As cute as like the play dead stuff is, like it is funny if you can get it out for 5, and then play dead's like, whoa, 6 mana ball clear. I don't know. I don't love it.
All right, let's move on to the last colossal minion here, the last card of the mini set. Neptulon the Tidehunter. Neptulon is back as a 10 mana 7/7 elemental colossal +2. So he summons these hands that are, I believe, 4/2s that have text immune while attacking. Neptulon himself has Rush and Wind Fury with the text. Whenever Neptulon attacks, if you control any hands, they attack instead. So the gameplay pattern here is you summon a Neptulon, you summon these 2 hands, it has Rush and Wind Fury, so you attack once into a minion, the 2 hands will attack and deal 2 instances of 4, and then you get a second attack, which will deal 2 instances of 4, and you're guaranteed those because the hands themselves are immune. So I know that there's a lot of hype that I've been seeing about this card in something like Big Shaman, right? Because it has a lot of finishing power. So if you summon this and both of the hands stick, the next turn you swing 8 damage face, 8 damage face, and that's 16. And so I know that's where a lot of the hype has been. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on the card in something like Big Shaman, or even thoughts about anywhere else that it might be seen play.
I mean, yeah, Big Shaman is the one that makes the most sense to me with both of these cards, just because even in the Ozomat really dilutes your res pool. So like if you're playing something like a Revive Pet or a Resurrect effect of any sort, like you're going to be kind of tripping over those options if it's anything like Glug. But I don't know, there aren't a lot of great ways to cheat out minions in a timely manner anymore. Like this doesn't want to be in that aren't Big Priest, because like you don't want to dilute your res pool for Big Priest. So like Big Shaman is the first thing that comes to mind, and I don't know, it seems okay there. It feels like in most decks just kind of like a Onyxia but worse. But Onyxia is a strong card. I don't know. Like I don't know where this finds a home unless you're. Well, we've reached the point again. It's 1 mana with Luna's Pocket Galaxy and Mage, so that's something.
Wow.
The synergy with Frostlich Jaina in this card too. Oh, all right.
Would I play this in Reno Paladin? Maybe. I mean, it's worse than Onyxia, but like Onyxia is broken, so I don't know. Like Big Shaman, yeah. I like this more than the Ozomat, so that's something. But yep. I don't know. It's not too exciting, right? It's kind of funny because we've sort of just seen the same card with Onyxia, but like Raid Boss Onyxia is just better. So it's kind of like, sure.
Well, it's like Raid Boss Onyxia is more flexible in the turn you play it. This is a hell of a lot more damage, I feel like, the next turn. It may. I don't even know.
Like a
I guess if
little
all
bit
the
more
whelps,
damage.
well, like I'm assuming like all the whelps you're trading into stuff, and you're just left with the 8/8 after you've like played the Onyxia. So then the next turn you're only like,
Sure.
swinging for 8, where like with this you're swinging for 16.
16.
But then I'm also assuming the hands are sticking, which they're probably not. I don't know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I guess that's where like that's how my comparison is. Like I think it is worse than Onyxia because it's much worse the turn that you play it, right? But like in Big Shaman, you can't really cheat out an Onyxia because you don't get the whelps. You can cheat out the colossal minions, and so I don't know, like. I know we're talking about the forbidden format here in standard, but like I'm sure like the druid decks in standard probably want something like this to go along with their Onyxia. So
Yeah, I can see it for sure. Like this kind of card in that deck. But yeah, like it's fine. Like raid boss is very 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 strong. So
nothing too flashy. I feel like because we've kind of already seen this, like you've mentioned. But yeah,
it's kind of funny that like these are the big payoff. Like like these are the things. There's kind of a little. We've seen them before. It feels like because even like the other is it Onyxia that summons like a whole bunch of whelps? The original Onyxia or the
second Onyxia is the one that summons whelps.
Yeah,
at
the
the end of
second
every
one.
turn, right?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of that for like Ozomat, and then we also have like the raid boss. It feels like we've double dipped on the Onyxia for these two legendaries.
Yeah, Onyxia getting cheated a little bit. I feel like not getting the royalties. But yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Those are all the 35 cards. I guess got to ask the obligatory question: how you guys feeling about the mini set here for Wild?
Honestly, aside from Paladin, I don't know. I'm curious to try the Murloc Shaman too, just because of the mana cheat. But I'm mostly just stuck on the Paladin cards. I built a draft of the Giants Paladin. I'm ready to go with that one. I want to Dark Glare some people.
Yeah. I mean, the main things I was looking at were just Paladin, Malagos, big Shaman stuff, and Murloc Shaman. Those are kind of like the big four takeaways that I had. This kind of going through. You know what? We always think it's not going to have any impact, and it always has more impact, and then I never learn. Then yada yada. Repeat the cycle. This is every single expansion. So this mini set is trash, garbage, and I look forward to being wrong in 3 weeks.
I don't think it's trash. I think it's just like I think it's middling, and I think that's probably about where it will land. And that's kind of okay. I think. Like,
especially for the first mini set of the year, we don't need this to break the format. I feel like
we've had a lot of pressure on the speed of the format of late, and I think this is. I'm okay with things stabilizing a little bit. Just decks getting 1 or 2 cards, just boosting like struggling archetypes like a Malagos Druid and that kind of thing. Like I think that's okay. I don't think we need like a giant shove forward like we've been getting with some of the mini sets in the past, or even a lot of the expansions as well. So
yeah, I mean, you guys listening or watching, let us know down in the comments below what you guys are feeling about the mini set, what cards you disagree with us on, some of those Warlock cards, or what decks you're excited to play come mini set, which is coming this Wednesday. It's so weird to me that it's already coming out, dude. I was not prepared to talk about this this weekend. I know Roffle was planning on being out of town too, so yeah, perfect timing. But yeah, I appreciate you guys joining me week after week, especially this week to talk about some of the new cards, and hope everybody listening enjoyed the conversation. Let the people know where they can find you and your content, especially come mini set drop.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Roffle, and Twitter and Instagram at RoffleHS.
And you can find me at Corbett on Twitch and Corbettgames on YouTube and Twitter.
You can find me at GetMeOut on all those platforms again. Thank you to everybody that listens all the way to the end. Appreciate you all. And we'll see you guys again next week with a report on how the mini set really is impacting the WoW format. In the meantime, take care, and we'll see you guys again next time. Later.